What is happening, fishers?
Welcome to Tackle Tuesday. Dean from Untraceable Fishing here tonight, once again with
Jared from Bulamoria Fishing Tackle.
And welcome to Tackle
Tuesdays.
Anyway, so by popular demand, we have done a full run through the Assassin range before. I've had one or two of members and some subscribers on YouTube asking us to please run through the Assassin EVO range, and I'm super excited once again to run through the Assassin EVO range with everyone out there watching. We're going to do something a bit different tonight. We're going to decide, we're going to look at the EVO range, also pair it up with what size reel we'd use in each of the Assassin EVOs and what PE braid or what breaking strain braid we'll look at. So for those of you who did watch our Horizon video, thank you very much. If you haven't watched it, go back a couple of weeks, check on the YouTube page. We did a full review on the Assassin Horizon rods.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to do the EVO rods. For those of you who don't know the EVO name, they've been around for a long time. I think this is their third generation of the EVO. I know the first generation came out, then they brought out the EVO with the gold EVO, what we call the gold EVO, which I still fish with and still my favorite rod to this day, even though he's getting a bit antiquated and a bit long in the tooth now. Too many hours fishing, but still by far my favorite rod. Then I'm not sure exactly if it was 2 years ago or a year ago, Assassin came to the party and brought out what they call the EVO Infinity Taper. They have 5 models in their range at the moment. EVO number 4, 14-foot 6, the number 5, 14-foot, the number 5 also in a 15-foot, the number 6, and then the number 7. I'm going to hand over to Jared now. For those of you who do not understand when Assassin put a number 5 or number 4 on their rod, just to give you a quick, brief description of how the numbers work.
Hey guys, so what they've done is, and it's not just on the EVOs, you'll see on most of the latest editions, Bluefish, Surfmaster, Horizon, what they've done is they've just made it simple. So take the number 4. The number 4, that is the recommended, call it intermediate weight of what the rod would throw. So the number 4 is a 3 to 5 ounce rod, but the 4 being the best recommended sinker to get optimum distance and
casting performance.
As Dean says, casting performance out of the rods. You can fish a 5 ounce sinker on that rod, but they say they perform best with that size sinker. So as Dean said, a number 4, 4 ounce sinker, and your bait. Number 5, 5 ounce sinker. 6, a 6 ounce sinker, and number 7, a 7 ounce sinker.
And then when it comes to Assassin rods, and particularly these rods in this range, that is your sinker weight without your bait.
Yes.
Obviously, if you are throwing extra large baits that succeed, maybe drop your sinker weight slightly, not to, but you'll feel the rod, not to, you'll start losing some performance on the rod. So just drop your sinker by 1 ounce. Then number 4, start throwing a 3 ounce if you are throwing an extremely heavy bait. Let's have a quick look at one of these rods. I've got my favorite out of the whole lot. The number 4, the 14-foot number 4. If I had to purchase one, I think this would be the one I'd go for. It would definitely be my number 1 cob rod. When the gold EVO gives up one day, this is definitely lined up to replace it. Just run through it, guys. Obviously, all top of the range components of the rod. Fuji winch, beautiful. The improved Assassin Bionic finger. Beautiful EVA grips, super slim in the hands. Beautifully finished silver, black, and red, being the EVO's new colors. The number 4, obviously, Fuji Alkanite guides throughout the rods and throughout all the rods in the series. So you're getting premium components. One thing I can say about the EVO, an extremely light rod. This feels like there's almost nothing in your hands.
Yes, definitely.
So a lot of you out there might be asking, you get the Horizon, top tier, that's their benchmark. Can't get any better from them or anyone else at the moment, in my eyes. Then the EVO, a lot less cost effective, guys. You're looking at, I don't know the exact prices. I'm not going to worry about prices right now, but a little bit more than half of what an Horizon costs, but not 3/4 of the price of an Horizon. And you're still getting a top world-class rod. Yeah. But besides the pricing, I'm throwing the deep end here. When would you maybe choose the EVO over an Horizon?
I would say, as you were mentioning about the number 4, fishing for your edibles. So your cob and your pig nose, and even scaling down to scratch for your bronze bream and stuff like that. So the EVOs have a softer tip action.
Correct.
And softer casting action than the Horizons. So the Horizons, what I would look at if you're needing a bit more pulling power, but if you want a bit more of a responsive rod when those skittish fish, edible fish aren't biting properly, the EVO's softer tip action will give you enough give, you can call it, to be able to pick up the bites properly.
Yeah, I think Jared described it extremely well. Obviously, EVO being a bit of a softer rod. Not saying it doesn't have the backbone. Some of the bigger boys have got a crazy amount of backbone, guys.
Yeah.
It's just got more of a forgiving tip. Let me put it in those words.
Yes.
I think personally myself, for cob fishing, I'd happily take an EVO over an Horizon, even though Horizon's got that great status. I think for myself personally, an EVO would be a better choice for that type of fishing. Softer tips are going to absorb the head shakes a bit better. You probably have to work a little bit less hard as you did with an Horizon on a cob and things like that.
Yeah.
The rod will do a lot more work for you.
Yes.
As the gold EVO does. Another thing that EVO is completely different than the Horizon. They've got two total different actions. They're both parabolic rods. The Horizon obviously a little bit stiffer through the tip. The EVO a bit softer.
Yeah.
The EVO is an easier rod to cast. The Horizon, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it to everyone out there. The Horizon is designed for top tier performance, guys. So it's designed, engineered to be able to cast to the Horizon, as the rod's called. So everything, your timing, your loading of the rod is a bit more difficult because it is a performance machine. If you think of it as a high performance rifle, shooting at 1,000 meters, your scopes, everything is a bit more precise. Everything's a bit more precise. A little bit harder to do than shooting at 300 meters.
Yeah.
So with the EVO, it loads a lot easier. The EVO, you don't need any sort of backswing, parabolic pendulum swings. The EVO, you can stand and pitch.
Yeah.
You get a decent throw 90% of the time. Where if you're not that experienced with the angle, the Horizon can be a bit of a more difficult rod to master. It's going to take some time.
Yeah. If I go back to, as what Dean's saying, if we go back to the Assassin casting day, one of our newer anglers casted with the, I believe it was the number 4 and number 5 EVO, coming from a chap that had never casted a rod before, still getting used to how to use a bionic finger properly and working out the actions. I think we took 5 or 10 minutes with him, and he could easily get a 80-90 meter casting distance with the EVOs. And that goes to what Dean's saying about the fact that you can come into the market if you've got a bit more money to spend than the cheaper entry-level rods, and you don't have to be a top-notch angler or very experienced angler to get your results needed out of your casting with the EVOs.
So, like, over the years fishing, and there's a lot of guys that own Horizons out there, top-tier rods are I1. I don't think you can get anything better. I found there's a lot of guys out there with an Horizon that aren't even using that rod to their ability yet. They're only using a rod at 60 or 70% of what it can actually do.
Yeah, not reaching full potential.
If they, no disrespect to them, they might not have the amount of cost, thousands of costs behind them and stuff like that. Guys are coming in, you grabbing an Horizon because it is the best and they can afford it. Nothing wrong with that. But I think it might actually hinder their casting and their angling to objective. If they had to grab an EVO, I think it could become a bit more enjoyable about them. The EVO, you're going to get, compared to an Horizon, you're going to get 90% of the capability, but 100% of the time.
Yeah.
With an Horizon, you're going to get 100% of the capability, but only at 30 or 40% of the time. You're not always going to hit those casts perfectly, get that timing on that sweet spot. The sweet one on the Horizon is a lot shorter than it is one on the EVO. The EVO, you've got a bit of time to play with. You can let that bionic finger go over about a second, and your finger's still going to launch.
Yes.
You don't just have that split of a blink to get everything loaded up. But besides that, guys, I can't say enough about these rods. It's something everyone should definitely have a look at.
Yeah.
The one major feature, Jared, the joins.
So Dean and I were discussing this earlier. So unlike the Horizon, it is a standard join. We're actually trying to figure out the name for it earlier, but unfortunately we've forgotten. So the Horizon is what you call a spigot join. These, the best way to describe it, I like to say, sort of the bottom section, you would be referring to the female, the mid as the male. So it's a push-in join. So Dean showing you there, that's how it fits. Now, while we're mentioning this, especially for the newer anglers fishing maybe the first 5 or 6 times, not used to it, when you insert the pieces incorrectly, you need to make sure that there's enough of the blank that's going into the bottom section. That just prevents breakages and any damage caused to the rods. Sometimes the guys, as you'll see there, they'll think the rod is in far enough unfortunately it won't be. You'll get the chap, maybe it'll be fine the first time, the second time you try and cast, you'll break a rod generally on the join. So as Dean illustrated there, just make sure enough of it is in. So generally you'll find you'll get about sort
It's about
of
2 centimeters.
2 centimeters that'll stick out and be exposed. Slowly over time that will go in further, but it takes a lot of hours of taking the rod apart and putting it back together to reach that.
Yeah, just one thing you need to make sure, guys, put it in, make sure it's firm. Do not try. I've seen guys with brand new rods, unfortunately, they're not too aware, and
they think it goes all the way into the joint.
They force it in, you end up cracking your rod. So make sure it's firm. I'll run through it there. So that's nice and loose. That's it, guys. Nice little pull. You can make sure it's firm. Another way to do is give the rod a wiggle, and if it's not in firm enough, you'll actually feel a wobble in the rod.
Yes.
So don't push too hard. Don't crack it. And please be aware that does not have to be all the way in. If it's all the way in on a brand new rod, then you've definitely pushed it too far, and you probably have caused some damage to your rod.
Yeah.
So something to be very careful of.
There we go.
So I just want to
put
this on the floor so I don't have to bite. Okay, so as we discussed with the Ryzen and a lot of the Beachmaster, the Surfmaster, Jared said earlier, the Ryzen's numbering system. Now, what EVO do you guys want to buy? What are you using your EVO for? So, as we mentioned, cob earlier, but EVO goes way past cob and pig nose.
Definitely.
They go right up to big non-intervals. So,
yeah.
EVO number 4 comes in a 14'6". I think an ideal rod if you're scratching for Galjoen on some further banks for the guys in the Western Cape. Bluefish.
Big nose.
Pig nose, fantastic cob rod. So I'm going to grab my EVO number 4. Now you're thinking, what reel are you going to pair that with? So reel of choice, we're going to use Shimano as our sizing for the evening. I say number 4, Saragossa 8000 on number 4. Just because I want to fish very light braid on it. I'm going to use my little pig nose and cob rod. I'm probably going to fish 20 pound, with some 20 pound or PE2 braid on that. That is PE 1.5 just because it's Ultratech. The reason I've chosen Ultratech is a 20 pound at 1.5, PE 1.5. You're going to get a lot of line lay on this 8000. And then I'll probably pair that up with some 80 pound surf leader. So that would be my choice for the 14 foot. Up to the 15 foot, Jared, what did you put on your 15 foot?
So on the 15 foot.
Number 5, sorry, the number 5.
Yeah. So on the 15 foot number 5, speaking about Shimano sizes, I would look at a 10,000 Saragossa. And then what we've grabbed here is the JDB DNA. This is the 30 pound with a 100 pound surf leader. That would be getting more into your mid-range edibles. Yes, still targeting cob, but also, like I know one or two chaps that I've fished with, they've got a back issue or a neck issue. And they can't get optimum performance out of something like a number 6.
Yeah.
So they can do their bigger edible fishing
with
a number 5, and it works for them.
More than enough backbone and pulling power there.
Definitely. Even if you hook your medium to bigger sharks, as long as you fight them, you'll be able to hold them.
Correct. Then we move on to, so obviously the number 5 comes in a 14 foot and a 15 foot. Comes in 2 different lengths. Guys prefer different lengths. Some guys off the rocks, depending. I like a 14 foot off the rocks sometimes.
Yeah.
Just gives you a bit more directional change for the fish when they're in front.
Also for your ladies, eh?
Yes, yeah. And then a 15 foot off the surf. And it depends on your application. So Assassin have decided to bring that rod out, being probably the most popular number in 2 different sizes for different applications. Then going forward to the number 6, I think a very versatile number. I think you can target some good edible fish on it. I wouldn't maybe scratch for bronze beam and Galjoen on it, but you can target your cob of any size, and you can start looking at your smaller, even your medium-sized non-heads, spotted gullies. Number 6 is more than capable of pulling some big raggies and things out like that.
Yeah.
And then what I'd put on my number 6, if I owned a number 6, I'd take a Saragossa 14,000. I think it would be a good choice. Very similar reel to the 10,000 size, but being a bit of a biggest arb on the spool, just some more extra line capacity. So I'd probably pop some 40 pound JDB DNA onto that, and maybe 120, 150. I don't know what pound leader we grabbed with the shelf there.
We've grabbed
120, which is perfect.
120.
If I was targeting specifically non-eds, I might jump up to a 180, but I think for bigger edibles, 120 is more than sufficient. And your black steamruss, silver steamruss, I think that is a good combination for that number 6.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, Jared, we're going to throw Jared's going to tell us all about the number 7.
So the number 7, that would be, yes, it's still used in certain areas to target your edible species, but the number 7 goes more towards your non-eds. the guys fishing for ragged toots, bronze whalers, your big sandies in your KZN coast. So the number 7 being the 6 to 8 ounce, we've taken the Shimano Saragossa 18,000. You can also put a 20,000 on it, but the 18,000 is a nice sizing for it. And then what we've grabbed here, just because of the fact that you are targeting your bigger non-heads, we've grabbed the JDB TNA in the 50 pound paired with a 180 pound surf leader.
I think 18,000 is a good choice if you are fishing 50 pound. If you are starting to go 65 pound, 80 pound, then maybe look at a 20 or 25,000 just for that extra line capacity. But I think with 50 pound and 18,000, you pretty much covered on close to 600, 5. I might be mistaken there. Meters.
Yeah, your foot a bit more than that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a quick overview of the Assassin EVO range. Hope it was educational. If there are any questions, please hit the questions down below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Don't forget to check out our members link. Andrew will pop it into the YouTube video below. Want to think about becoming a paid member of Untraceable Fishing's YouTube channel? It's R9.99 a month, guys. $10. Call it $10. And thank you all for joining us. For those of you who don't know what is happening, I'm going to do another video of this afterwards. But anyway, the 13th of June to the 13th of July is the Bull Moria Monster Shad Classic. Once again, phenomenal cash prizes up for grabs. Just a quick thing, biggest shad caught in the country. That angler goes home with 15,000 Rand cash. There are a crazy big list of prizes available. If you are interested in the competition, make sure you get entered now or watch the next video to be posted, and we'll tell you all about that shad competition. So from Dean from Untraceable Fishing.
And Jared from Below Moria Fishing Tackle.
Cheers.
Cheers.